I'm Tonikaku Squid, and ever since becoming an anime reviewer, my life has changed. I'm a cringe lord, I wield the power to on good shows, praise shows, and have a good time in order to gain subscriber. It's July 2023 time, baby! Before I begin, slight spoilers for the first episodes and parts of the series. Oshi changed me, which has happened very little over the course of watching shows. Sure, I enjoyed some, loved some, and hated others, but I never really had that one show that stuck with me throughout. Let's get the easy things out of the way. The character designs are beautiful, the music's untouchable, the presentation couldn't have been better, and the series doesn't shy away from any topic. The story follows a pregnant idol by the name of Ai, with her being pregnant with twins. Obviously for an idol it's a hard decision due to balancing her kids and her job, not to mention if word gets out she would be a goner. The second act of the plot sees Ai and her kids and how she hid them from the masses, with it all coming to a bittersweet end, where they set up a revenge plot for Aqua, one of Ai's kids. The revenge plot is continued with the time skip to Aqua and Ruby, Ai's other child, being in high school. Ruby wishes to be just like Ai and perform in an idol group, where Aqua has shied away from being an actor and is also very protective of Ruby. Both of the kids have double identities to a point, but I'll leave that reveal for those who watch it. What makes the series is the characters, and I would say that Oshi does not miss with its characters. I could talk for hours about each character, but as a short form reviewer, I'll keep it short-ish. Ai and Ruby are practically identical, both being mild-mannered pretty girls who do the job more as a fun venture than anything else, though Ai does have a bit more smarts than what we can see from Ruby, which is why I believe each of Ai's children has the eye sparkle in one eye. They each take half of Ai's character. Which brings me to Aqua, or Aquamarine. He is the smarts. He doesn't have much of the natural talent of Ai, or at least he thinks that, with his witnessing of multiple murders helping his detective skills in this murder mystery-esque environment. The last character I'll talk about is Miyako, who is Aqua and Ruby's parental figure and leader of Strawberry Productions, once esteemed idol agency which now just kinda dabbles in online creators. She's hesitant at first to babysit Aqua and Ruby as the at-the-time assistant, however as time goes on she falls for the role, looking to take over as Aqua and Ruby's guardian at the end of the first episode, with her heart opening up to potentially making another idol group, who would have Ruby as the lead, as Ai's group was the last the company had. All this to say the characters have deep and meaningful arcs. Even among the characters mentioned, they're still going through changes. The show never sits still, which I will say does make this a hard watch at many points, where you just want the plot to stall and let feelings linger, with me personally having to take a couple days break from the series after the dramatic first episode. As someone who's watched average idol shows like Bang Dream and Love Live, I see the happy-go-lucky life that many idols are portrayed as. However, not once have I seen a show go beyond the troubles of idols having to find a group or an idol having a stage fright, which Oshi has. It's refreshing, and whilst not a show for everyone, I can give it my own personal recommendation for being a show that's touched me in any ways. Now if only I could too. Ugh, cringe. Anyway, this slots easy into my top 5 shows, and maybe even my top 2 with Kaguya as well. As I'm writing this, I've watched 9 of the 11 episodes in the season, with the last episode supposed to come out tomorrow, which I'll not hesitate to watch, but I don't need to for my score, as it's already easy to say that Oshi is a 10 out of 10 and a must watch for anyone who explores the genre beyond just the basic shows.
そういわゆる地下アイドルなんだけどねこれって運命だと思うの
I've said very little on the Swordsmith Village arc up until now, and in my opinion, I love the story, the presentation, and the visuals, but I think the manga had more impact. What I mean is that when reading the manga, each scene felt more impactful, and even though reaching the same part in the story multiple times is ultimately less impactful, I just felt the manga had something that the show didn't. This isn't to take away from how beautiful it looked or the characters involved, just something I noticed whilst watching. Tanjiro this time has recovered from the battle in the entertainment district and is sent to the Swordsmith village, as his swordsmith Haganezuka hasn't delivered a new blade to him. In the Swordsmith village, Hashiro Mitsuru Kanroji, brother of Hashiro Genya, and Michiro Tokido are present, where the former is taking a bath with the scenery I watched the preview in, had a few laughs and probably a few parents upset, and the latter bullying a child by the name of Kotetsu. With there being an old, pretty much broken training robot that Tokido wants to use, but not knowing how to fix it, and being an heirloom, Kotetsu is reluctant. Anyway, then 2 upper rank demons show up. with everyone learning lessons along the way and the battle taking the majority of the screen time of the season. The opening I wasn't really a fan of, as Men with a Mission songs aren't really my style, but I can't help but think that it somewhat fits. Looking to the future, the Hashira training arc has already been announced, being the second last arc of the entire Demon Slayer story, and I hope they can make something truly special. Whilst the story has a bit still to play out, the next part, whilst entertaining in some ways, is definitely not the same sort of action that has been portrayed in the current and previous seasons, though the arc that follows is probably the best of the story. With all that said, the final words on this season is that the climax felt pretty underdone, but I think it deserves at least an 8 out of 10.
いつまで寝てんださっさと起きねえかと言ったのが俺だ。あいつとはそこそこ縁がある。2ヶ月前遊郭であいつらを発見したのも俺だ。こんな状態だったので超仲いいじゃねえかあいつらと思っていたら3人とも意識不明の重体だった。
It's hard to see how Dr. Stone makes a wrong move. They made a wrong move. After an incredibly average special, I think the season that follows is the exact same. I think it's important to note that I especially liked Stone Wars, which is not an opinion many had, though I think it's because they executed the plot that they had been working towards really well. Tsukasa was introduced as a solution for their problems, but when his and Senku's ideals are shown to differ, they turn on each other, with it being set up in the first season and explored in the second, with the remainder of the first season set to Senku and Ishigami Village. I like the strategy and planning of both sides looking to get the best of each other, ending in a team science victory. I think this is important to discuss due to how New World handled things. The threat is introduced through a radio waves hijacking, with the island now the target of exploration. Though, when it is explored, the threat almost immediately attacks, leaving most of the ship's crew unable to fight, leading to a sense of confusion for the viewer. There isn't any build up, and it all happened so fast that whilst I understood what had happened, the payoff wasn't there, and it was all very underwhelming. From episode 9 the series picks up, however that's only for the last 3 episodes of the season. I'm honestly shocked that this got the highest reviewed season of the show, because of the hype I guess. Either way, it'll probably be at least a year before we get more from the series, so let's hope that what we get is better than a 7 out of 10. Somewhere in between me watching this and writing a script, a part 2 to Dr. Stone New World was announced, and can I just say, just release the whole thing at once. The death of the 24 episode season has happened, and personally I think it's for the worst in many cases, as it creates for confusing and boring names like JoJo's Bizarre Adventure Part 6 Stone Ocean Part 3. As a reviewer, a 12 episode season is way more convenient, but as an enjoyer of the medium, having a 30 episode Bleach season is still manageable. Beyond 30 is a bit much, One Piece, but I think it's still important to say that not every show has to be refined to a single format. Being original stands out, like an hour and 20-minute episode 1. Not to mention that the rise in a longer episode 1 and 10 other 20-minute episodes is becoming a trend too, with 3 of the 4 brand new shows using this format. Like, I get this isn't the biggest of deals, but it matters to an average fan who doesn't know the difference between a part 2 and a season 2, like with Spy Family. So many shows are being produced, surely it isn't that hard to convey this to a viewer, like what the show is. And just greenlight longer seasons. I don't mind waiting another 3 months just to get the whole story in one watch, instead of waiting till October for the second half of a story that's already out. 2 series I want to flag with great names is Food Wars, which uses numbered seasons, and Demon Slayer, which uses arc names to differentiate between seasons. Anyway, enough talking, onto Tonikaku Kawaii. The final of the new shows. I think the second season of Tonikaku Kawaii was extremely underwhelming. Part of the reason is while season 1 had one of, if not the weirdest openings to a show, the plot always kept moving forward, which is something I appreciate in a slice of life, to at the very least keep it fresh. By contrast, the whole of season 2 had a total of 2 main locales, the first being a bathhouse where Nasa and Tsukasa are staying, and the second being a luxury bathhouse. Besides my small gripes with the first season, it isn't like I actively disliked it, but by comparison, the season adds nothing. I think what sold the first season of the show is the shock that each character had at an event, which you can only do so much, with the characters and events usually running dry. And the other was the connection between Tsukasa and Chitose. but I think we see more of Chichirose's mother than her. Not to mention, she just kinda gave in to the marriage. I feel like if you wanted to keep up with the series, you could just skip to episode 12 and still understand what's going on. I have nothing against shows that take time with their plots, but I'm not a fan of when the plot stalls, which is what this season speaks to me as. The main comparison for me would be Koyomi Monogatari, which uses the main cast, but in stories that have no affiliation with the main plot. But the issue for me is that Tonikaku Kawaii promoted itself as a sequel, which makes for a bigger talking point. With that said, I have nothing against the series, though I feel season 1 was better. 6 out of 10.
普段授業で爆睡してるからどの教科も全然わかんないの。わかる。よくそんだけ堂々と自業自得の話ができるね。昔からサボるための言い訳は得意なの。最低だな、おい。
I can't help but feel like Lelouch did the whole Lelouch character arc better. Charlotte, for those who haven't watched it, is like that one fever dream that you have now and again, put into a show. It follows Yu, a kid who abuses his powers to get what he wants, and Tomori now, student council president for a school for kids with powers, is the other protagonist, forcing Yu to transfer to that school. The story has about 3 different arcs in the 13 episode show. The first is recruiting members to the school to protect those with powers, the second revolves around Yu's past and time travel, and the third is a Lelouch-esque arc where Yu goes out to save the world, almost sacrificing himself and making him very unpopular with the bulk of the population. I think the first arc, or act if you will, is the highlight of the show, with nothing outlandish but a great introduction to the world and its characters. The second arc is where it just smashes everything that the first arc was, introducing new characters and a completely new story pretty much, only using some of what was set up to that point. And the third arc barely has anything to do with the first 2 and is only 1 or 2 episodes long. All this to say that I think the plot really disconnects at these points, and it had me confused, which may be for some people, but it's not really my taste when it comes to shows. With that said, I like the art style a lot, and the soundtrack fit the show very well. Though, that's my review on Charlotte, 7 out of 10.
しかし、普段のテストとは違い、受験では誰が賢いのかわからない。それから僕はいくつもの名高い進学塾へ、塾生のふりをして何度も忍び込んだ。どの受験生がどこを受けるのか、そしてどの教科が得意なのか。
I'm gonna be real, not every show I watch is gonna be able to be told in many words. So here are some reviews for a couple of shows I watched but don't have much to say on. Bang Dream Season 2. I like the expanded scope, adding more bands, but the story really didn't pique my interest. The visuals are worse, and hey, is that an Osu song? That's it, 5 out of 10. Who Was Season 4 continues the competition from last time, and it was a fun watch, but nothing really new to talk about with the series, 8 out of 10. Bleach Season 4. I might look at this one a bit more in depth when we aren't looking at a filler arc. I did enjoy Ichigo, but I feel like the plot was a bit lost when it came to the villains, being the bounce. Either way, I look forward to the not filler plot in a couple of seasons time. 6 out of 10. Look, I have last month's video to answer for. I'm gonna be honest, there were 2 reasons that video wasn't up to standard, and both of them led to the video being rushed. The first was my fault. I left the final version of the script way too late to be finalized. With these videos launching on the second Sunday of each month, it can vary however much time I have to work on a video. Not to mention, I was also busy the day before the video release, so I really didn't have much time to work on it. However, that's normally not an issue. The other issue was the voiceovers. Normally these take 1 to 2 days, but to give a TLDR, I live in a very noisy household. So last month, it was done at really awkward times, thus my voice sounding different even within segments themselves, and it took a ballpark of a week to finish, leaving less time for editing, thumbnail creation, and less time to come up with ideas for how I want the video to look and feel. It isn't the first time I've rushed a video. You only have to look back to the second video in the series, and the Ranking Ace Attorney Cases video around this time of year 2 years ago. It's also hard wanting some free time on top of this, streaming, and going to school, and I'm still trying to figure out what my balance of everything I do is, but I'm glad the 2 videos I rushed did much worse than a fair bunch of my other videos. But I also think my selection of shows let me down a bit too. I selected mostly boring shows, which I think came across in my tone for the video. There was nothing exciting or fun about the selection. By comparison, this month, the heavy hitters in Oshi and Demon Slayer practically write the reviews for themselves, as they have so much to talk about, and especially with Oshi I feel like I could make a 10-minute video on that alone. I try to learn something each month making these videos. It could be a skill, it could be a way to present the videos better, and now, whilst it might seem obvious that the learning this month is to manage my time better, I honestly think that misses the point. I think a better point to take out of the last month's video is that not every month's video is going to be better than the last, no matter how hard you try. But you just kind of have to go past that and move on to the next video. Not every deadline will be favorable, but if that's the new lowest that I can do, compared to the old rush videos, I am doing pretty well. Honestly, this month's been a relief, having so much extra time to make the video and having some of the top anime shows. I hope this video is the new high for me, considering the Horimiya video got around 1,000 views. Next month marks the year of making the series, so that video will come out on the 1-year mark, compared to the usual second Sunday of each month. So look forward to that on Monday the 21st of August, and also look forward to Case by Case. The first video is already out, with the second video coming on the 1st of August, so I hope you all enjoy that. If you enjoyed, I would appreciate interacting with the buttons below. They help me make better videos and tell me whether I did a good job. If you want to see more of me, then my socials are down below, and as always, thank you all for watching, and I will see you all next time. Bye!
Kino